Thank you very much, Les Coherlick. Minister, you're welcome to the House and congratulations on your return to work. Before I start, Senator Keoghan and myself would like to thank Free Speech Ireland for all the work they have done over the last 2 years on this bill. Their efforts have not gone unnoticed, especially Alex and Sarah. I'll deal primarily with 2 points: the definition of hate and the issue of gender. The definition of hate. Many have discussed at length the problem of not having a clear definition of hate. Indeed, some in their contributions in this House have said things like, sure, we all know what hate is. But do we really? I don't want to spend my time going back over anything that others have been saying before, but I want to pay close attention to how your own comments over the last few days illustrate the problem. You have sought to reassure us, but based on your speeches and media appearances since the last debate, I am far from reassured. Instead, I'm more fearful now than I ever was. I'm not at all confident that you, as Minister for Justice, truly understand the public concerns on this bill you're hoping to pass through this House, especially when within this chamber and on the national airwaves you keep claiming that certain things are covered in the bill that are not in the bill. There have been a tendency on your part to discuss points that nobody is making against the bill, such as saying that it will not result in a right to not be offended. Nobody has said that the bill will create a right not to be offended. If we turn to section 15 of the bill, in order to be convinced of an offence, the Gardaí can search your house, as we've just heard. You can be arrested. You don't even have to intend to spread the hate material you have. The Gardaí just need to suspect that you might. This endangers press freedoms and any group that might have an opinion that dissents from the mainstream or what the mainstream believe at any given time. What is considered a status quo view today might be considered as hate speech tomorrow. While I know these transcripts will be looked at by those who are interpreting the law, clarity is needed on the wording of the bill. The approach of the government seems to be, never mind what anyone says. Bang on, keep going, ignore the lot. Let's ignore the Council for Civil Liberties. Let's ignore the Bar Review. One of the leading barristers in the country, Baroness Nuala alone. Let's ignore the United Nations. Let's just push full steam ahead, label all of those with concerns, as being stated here by the opposition, and in the countless thousands of emails we're getting, spreading disinformation, even as we say things that are not easily refutable. Many national newspapers are carrying the headline that J.K. Rowling would not be prosecuted under Irish law. You said on the Gavin Riley show on News Talk, without having the full knowledge of everything J.K. Rowling posted on Twitter, or even what she might say in the future at the moment, or what she might say in the future. At the moment, the bill is putting a new definition on gender. That's not accounted for anywhere else in Irish law. The definition of gender in this bill also very oddly equates biological sex with gender, when these two terms are often understood to mean two separate things. In the view of many people, J.K. Rowling has said things that are hateful. Others think that she's protecting sex-based rights. Which one is she? Well, that would depend on the subjective views of whoever you ask. Similarly, what about those who denounce J.K. Rowling, who call her a TERF, or who use that term? Is it just, or could it be considered a form of hate speech? Assuming these comments are made in Ireland, the decision as to whether she would be prosecuted would depend on individuals in the DPP's office or on the judiciary at the time. Whatever your opinion on the transgender issue are, you're liable to be prosecuted. Without a definition of hate, you're the subject of whims and individual thoughts of those in the DPP or the judiciary. We know well, Minister, that people's views or their opinions sway from time to time. On the national airwaves, you said that hate is not a mild feeling, but we're not legislating for people's feelings. We're legislating for what can be construed as hate without any definition. How can we do that? What does the term hate mean? This is very dangerous, And you, Minister McEntee, have failed to soothe these legitimate concerns. On News Talk during the weekend, you said, quote, however, where people intentionally set out to do something, or as I said, recklessly, knowing that they are going to pit one group of people against another, that is where we're saying a line has to be crossed. This is not in the bill, but that could apply to just about anyone. Political campaigns, any issue you care to think about, any group such as the Irish Palestinian Solidarity campaign could find themselves subject to prosecution based on the definition that you gave, and this also happens not to be in the bill. Doublespeak. Contrary to what you've said, what is considered hate is not clear. That is why Senator McDougall said the United Nations advises countries to have a clear definition of what hate is. Both in this chamber and on the airwaves, you keep making contradictory statements such as saying that this is not about policing people's thoughts, but this is about policing people's right to freedom of expression, and there is no getting away from that. The DPP and the judiciary will be able to decide what hate is, and that will be the key in determining whether a person can be convicted. Pardon me. You have said that your intention is to increase the number of convictions, and the arbitrary enforcement of this new rubber law will create a chilling effect that will endanger protest groups, legal professionals because of the bill, failure to account for legal privilege, and even journalists who may be covering the activities of groups disseminating hate material. As this debate progresses, I would ask that the Minister and her colleagues don't keep discussing acts that are already illegal and which almost everyone condemns as a reason to pass this bill. That's just a smokescreen to smuggle through flawed hate speech legislation. I hope that going forward we can have a robust debate concerning what is in this bill and not what the Minister thinks is in the bill. So far, there has been too much discussion from the Minister about things that are not in the bill, and a contemptuous attitude by the Government to address many of the legitimate concerns expressed by legal experts in the Irish Council for Civil Liberties, Barnes alone, and trained barristers in our own chamber. Minister, I have been subjected to hate speech, and I think most people in this House have from one stage or another. But I have never, in 9 years in this establishment, had so many emails and so many concerns, and I cannot, no matter how much I would like to try, I cannot define all of those that have contacted me as lunatic right-wing organisations. They are decent people contacting us every day who have huge concerns about this bill. And I would ask you to do what Michael McDougall asked you to do. Step back. Let's have 6 months to discuss this in-house. Let's sit around tables and thrash out the issues that are a problem to members of the public. And let's see, can we make a hate bill that will really work, and we will not find a situation where it is being contested every time it is spoken about in public. In its present form, I can say today I will have no alternative but to vote against it. And believe you me, that is more of a problem for me than you can imagine, because I despise those who use hate and hate speech to attack those of us who are in the public eye. So I'm asking you, step back from it. Let's get it right first time. Let's not finish up passing flawed legislation. Thank you, Minister.
Senator